The New York Times followed this focus group of, I think it was 13 young voters since August, and was asking them, how are you going to vote? And they were all over the board. Some had voted for Trump last time around, some had voted for Biden, some hadn't voted at all. And the vast majority of the voters voted Trump this time around, I'm sure to the New York Times shock, and to the shock of some of the young people who were there, who were in a part of the group. And listen to this woman. Her name is Lillian. She's 27. She's from Virginia. She's white in digital advertising. She did vote for Donald Trump in 2020. And this time around, she said, I voted for Trump. And I made the decision the same day the mainstream media was having a meltdown after the MSG rally. I also saw an ad from Democrats about abortion misinformation, and that really made me upset. I said, you know what? I'm going to vote for Trump. Everybody hates him. Yeah.
And look, it's the most powerful tool that he has, and that he has all the right enemies. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people that are the most despicable people in public discourse all hate him. And when you see them so upset and rhetorically over the top, it's like, oh man, I kind of love that. I love that. And the MSG thing was such a perfect example of that, right? They would have the American public believe that all of a sudden, if you are of Puerto Rican descent, that a roast comedian overtakes your concerns about the border, about the economy, your pocket, all of that stuff, because a roast comedian did a bit at Madison Square Garden. Like, it's just disingenuous and ridiculous. And if you listen to that as a voter, you're like, man, I'm not for any of that.
Well, because it's insulting your intelligence as a voter, right? And like, you see those abortion ads that lied, and you're like, wow, that's insulting my intelligence as well. And so then you're going back in the catalog of things that the media has told you about Donald Trump, and you're thinking, well, maybe those are lies too. Yeah. Because if they're willing to lie in the ads, if they're willing to lie about this rally, what else are they lying about? So they did it to themselves.
You don't think her passion was small businesses?
You don't think she eats no for breakfast? Sexist.
Not only did Trump win despite that, but now he has Democrats questioning whether their identity politics tactic is worth pursuing any further. I mean, you have the Clintons fighting the wokes internally in a way that we haven't seen in quite some time. It's one of the best outcomes of this election.
What's your prediction on that? Because, you mentioned AOC, that she took her pronouns out of her bio, which is amazing. Apparently, my crack team tells me 2 years ago, she also took her pronouns out of one of her bios on one of the social media sites, and then promptly posted this.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. They used to be on there. Let me go in and check and see if I can add them. Sorry about that. They used to be there. I guess they fell off, but I'll put them on right now.
They fell off? What?
They fell off.
Fell off.
What happened?
How do your pronouns fall off of your bio? Anyway, we don't know if it's real.
That's the issue, right? Is that like the base of their party is that. And it's less people than it is us. Yep. And that's why they lost that election. But they have a very strong enforcement mechanism with people like AOC on the internet. There is a litmus test for these people, and it includes putting your pronouns into everything. And they are having a little bit of a come to Jesus moment here and starting to think internally about what they've done on social issues or whatnot. But that's only going to last so long as there's a vacuum in the information flow for all of their supporters. And with Donald Trump putting up all these nominations, and a listener to Ruthless mentioned this in a comment on today's show, but like with all of this going on, they're going to get right back into the breach with the craziest woke takes, because they have to keep the base of their party happy. And I think ultimately that's going to be their undoing.
Let's talk about the postmortem that the Dems are going through right now, because they're blaming everything but Kamala, frankly. And I'm going to have more to say on that soon. But there's a big piece out now that, let's see, in The Nation, that Liz Cheney was an electoral fiasco for Kamala Harris. And they go through the places where Liz Cheney appeared with Kamala, and she drove up the Trump vote. She did not help Kamala at all, which comes to the surprise of no one sitting here. Politico did a piece talking about how, Muslim leaders in Michigan who were out there stumping for Trump, interviewing people and talking about why the Muslim vote went Trump's way. This is a quote from one leader there. what really pushed me over the edge is when Kamala Harris brought Liz Cheney to our backyard. Liz Cheney didn't help, but can we fairly blame the loss on her?
No, I mean, she's certainly part of it. The constituency, as we have found out, for the Liz Cheneys of the world and like the Tim Millers and the Bill Kristols and this sort of bizarre Never Trump movement that like is somehow went from conservative to very liberal and then tried to pretend like it was all the same. Like a constituency doesn't exist.
Yep.
And you could see them when they were watching the election returns, the realization on their face that they're literally speaking to
they're like,
themselves.
oh no, is our grift over?
Yeah, it's like really, that's in part. But I mean, I also posit that when you're like putting white papers out about tax breaks for, black men in the last week of your campaign, like you're just not exactly where you ought to be from a messaging standpoint.
Yeah,
you just never got there.
I don't think you can blame Liz Cheney for Kamala Harris losing. What you can blame is their fascination with the Never Trump movement as a constituency, distracting the Democrats from answering the questions about the simple pocketbook stuff that decided this election. And they couldn't figure out how to do that. They couldn't talk about the border. They were talking about, Liz Cheney. And like the distraction is ultimately what cost her.
Yeah, and with any luck, we'll face Kamala Harris again in 2028. I mean, I don't think they will learn their lesson. And one good indicator of the way that party is headed is what they did with the state of Iowa. Remember, on the Democrat side, just as the same way as on the Republican side, the state of Iowa used to be the first vote that everybody in a primary had to go through. They removed that from their calendar so that people from California and people from the East Coast who want to be president on the Democrat side don't have to talk to voters in flyover country. Yeah. And as long as they don't have to check a box or learn how to talk to people from Iowa, they are absolutely going to keep nominating lunatics.
Mm-hmm. I have maintained on this show in the past week and before, they can't excise wokeism from their party. It's too ingrained. It has metastasized. It's stage 5. I'm sorry, the honest oncologist will tell you it's over for you. So there's going to have to be some sort of a separation. That branch of the Democrat Party is going to have to become like the Never Trump branch of the Republican Party, exiled, irrelevant, and a joke. If Democrats want to win again, you're going to have to forge on without them. You will not be able to convince them to stop saying their crazy shit.
I mean, I think that's the thing is they've become so insular. I've called them, they're a single issue, single gender party that doesn't believe in gender. So that's not exactly how you build a winning coalition. And I don't think they're going to moderate. I saw a clip the other day from The Daily Show where Jon Stewart said, okay, here's what the problem is. And then he ran some ads that you saw in swing states where Democrats who are running were trying to say, I do see that the border is a problem and that, the economy isn't great. And him and his audience were shocked. And they're like, no, they should have been running further to the left.
Yeah.
That's their diagnosis. From getting shellacked, they're like, no, we didn't go far left enough.
He's as woke as they come. I mean, I don't know if you caught this exchange. I don't run Jon Stewart clips on this show because he's too big a prick. And that's saying something because I run a lot of prick sots on it. But no, F him. And I don't recommend you click on his videos on the internet either because it just inures to his benefit. Here is a clip from CNN yesterday. This involves a woman who I actually don't know who she is. And also Nicole Hannah-Jones is in it. And the valiant Scott Jennings, once again, trying to be the voice of reason, explaining to them why she lost, why it's not a good thing that the military is woke. And I believe the longer discussion was about why Pete Hegseth will be a good choice to sort of clean some of that up within DOD. So take a listen to this piece of the conversation.
Did you see the election results?
I did see the re-election results, but if you think that let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. When you say anti-woke, when you say woke, do you think about a certain class of people, a certain group of people outside of yourself? I'm just asking you that question. It sounds like that to me because I am a black woman. I'm speaking from my experience. So I'm asking you from your experience. When you hear anti-woke or woke, does that identify a group of people? That's all I'm asking you because I'm asking you to help me understand so I know what you're saying.
I mean, I tend to think about liberal people who have a fundamental disregard for, the underpinnings about founding of our country and who want to fundamentally change our society in ways that are not in line with a vast majority of the American citizens. That's what I tend to think about.
I mean,
those weren't my words.
Republicans.
My point is,
Republicans have
he
nonstop
accused of being a DEI
criticized
hire
Lloyd
as a four-star
Austin
general.
and
I
the
criticized some of his
Secretary of the
decisions.
Army, both of whom are black men in the highest levels of the military. And a lot of the arguments is that they're woke. At which, to Carrie's point, it sounds like
it sounds very much about a group of people that it's code. It sounds like dog whistle politics. It sounds like you're talking about a group of black people.
Keep going.
Good luck.
Keep it up.
Good luck getting that out of your party. The anchor, the guests, Carrie Champion is her name, former sportscaster. Because they want Lloyd Austin gone, they're anti-black. When they cite the fact that he's woke and he's pushing a woke military, that makes you anti-black.
Just as an aside, that's the best comedy on television today. I don't know if you've seen, every day there's a 6 or 7 different clips from that show where it is an absolute circus.
I mean, and still no one's watching it, by the way. It still has terrible ratings. The clips are just circulated amongst people like us to make fun of.
I like to call it the CNN therapy hour. The downside is there may be a side effect to consuming this drug, and that is CTE.
It is. You don't want prolonged exposure. That is for sure.
Wait, what's the side effect? What did you say? ED? Because that probably comes too.
No. I said CTE. From
although
maybe
you can make the case.
It's amazing that you see these clips and Scott Jennings is like, here's my advice, be normal. And they're like, no.
Racist. 4 years of crushing interest rates, runaway inflation, and reckless government spending. And who is paying the price? You are. You might have bills stacking up, debt collectors on your back. You might barely be able to keep food on the table. Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed new, aggressive strategies designed to get you out of debt permanently, without bankruptcy, and without loans. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. They can go head-to-head with these creditors, getting balances reduced, interest rates slashed, and penalties stopped. They create a plan to end your debt fast and put more cash in your pocket every month. And right now, Done with Debt is accepting new clients, but you need to act fast. Some credit relief programs expire. Before you even make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com or call 1-888-322-1054 right now. Speak with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.